After being killed by my own younger sister, I returned to the day I was hit by a car. My fiancé shielded my younger sister behind him and angrily accused me. What you lost is just a leg. But what Venus lost is her love. Everyone felt sorry for the love between her and her future brother-in-law. And they accused me of breaking them up. I directly picked up a baseball bat. It's just a leg. It's indeed not as important as your love. Since my sister and you truly love each other, it's not a bad deal to exchange her 2 legs for you to be together. Right? I'm the vicious supporting female character in the book. Asking for her 2 legs is just an appetizer. Phoenix. You just lost a leg. But Venus lost her love. Are you satisfied now? When I opened my eyes again, I saw my fiancé shielding my younger sister behind him, with a resentful look on his face. And my younger sister was crying pitifully. I'm sorry, sister. I know I shouldn't have done this. But I really like him and can't control myself. Maybe only by dying can I stop ruining your relationship. Before I could rush out, my mother had already hugged her with tenderness and pity. Then my mother slapped me hard in the face. Phoenix. Do you really want to force your sister to death? I sent you to the best school and hired the best dance teacher for you. But what about your sister? She can only go to the most ordinary school and has only taken 1 dance class. She doesn't have anything that you have. Can't you just give in to her this time? What a joke. I got into the best school for my own hard work. And I won the chance to study with the top dance teacher because of my talent. How could it become my mother's credit when she said it? It was the same in my last life. As long as my sister shed tears. Even if she wanted the moon in the sky, my mother would try to get it for her. This time, when I had a car accident and broke my leg, no one cared about me. Instead, they all came to blame me. I protested loudly, but all I got in return were more harsh words from my mother. Later, my sister got what she wanted and was with my fiancé. She whispered provocatively in my ear. So what if you work so hard? Everything you've tried so hard to get. I can still get it just by lifting a finger. Can't I? In my last life, I didn't know until I died that I was just a stumbling block of the vicious supporting female character in the book because I tried to stop my sister from being with my fiancé. And that stupid, vicious, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. And morally corrupt younger sister Venus, who managed to take the place of the original partner like a green tea bitch, was actually the female lead of this book. This time, I'm going to hold firmly to the script of the vicious supporting female character. Thinking of this, I tried my best to suppress the anger in my heart and said calmly, "It's just a man, isn't it? As long as my sister likes him, of course she can have him." My mother was taken aback and asked, "What did you say?" I said it's okay to give my fiancé to my sister. However, you also know that there are only 2 daughters in our family, me and my sister. And you've also said that the one who gets married first should stay at home. In that case, are you willing to be the son-in-law, too? The scumbag man is a perfect match for the blood-sucking mother and daughter. They are a top-notch and heavenly match. The sufferings I endured in my last life were far more than this. So it's not too much to ask for some compensation, right? Now the 3 people present were all stunned. My mother was the first to react. She curled her lips and said, "At least you're acting like an elder sister." Venus also dried her tears at this moment and thanked me hypocritically. "Thank you, sister, for helping us be together. Casanova will definitely be willing." "Right. Casanova?" I saw Casanova frown. And finally he nodded infuriately. "Of course. I love Venus and I'm willing to do anything for her. A dog can't change its habit of eating shit after all." As soon as my mother and Casanova left, Venus came up to me. "Sister, are you very angry now?" "I can't help it. After all, Mom likes me the most. I've never failed to get anything I want. Actually, Mom has known for a long time that I'm with Casanova. She also said that if you don't agree to give Casanova to me, she will sever the mother-daughter relationship with you. To be honest, if it were my last life, I would really be reluctant to part with the so-called mother-daughter relationship. Venus and I didn't have a father since we were little. So in my eyes, the person I cared about the most was my mother. But now, I'm a vicious supporting female character. And I don't care at all. The door opened at this moment. And my mother brought in some chicken soup. As soon as she entered the room, she called to my sister, Venus. Come and have a taste. This is the old hen soup I made. It's been stewed for a whole afternoon. It's really delicious. Venus glanced at me triumphantly. And then softly hugged my mother's arm and acted coquettously. Mom, you love me the most. I watched the mother and daughter coldly and lowered my eyes to play the recording of what Venus said just now. Sister, are you very angry now? I can't help it. After all, Mom likes me the most. I've never failed to get anything I want. Actually, Mom has known for a long time that I'm with Casanova. She also said that if you don't agree to give Casanova to me, she will sever the mother-daughter relationship with you. The two people who had been enjoying the chicken soup and showing a loving mother and filial daughter scene just now froze instantly. My mother forced a smile. You see, you've already agreed, haven't you? Also, having fulfilled my obsession. She's your sister, not an outsider. Why are you so scheming at such a young age? I immediately retorted. It was her who seduced my fiancé. Why am I the one being called scheming? Since Mom hates me so much, we might as well sever the mother-daughter relationship. My mother immediately started shouting, Fine. Let's sever it. If you have the guts. Don't call me Mom from now on. I only have Venus as my daughter. By the way, don't go back to that home either. Venus. Let's go. My mother pulled Venus and slammed the door as they left. I lay quietly on the hospital bed, enjoying the peace. I'm afraid she still thinks that I will take the initiative to lower my hand and apologize to her. Just like I used to. Unfortunately, having fulfilledly, I won't. In the past, I was imprisoned by the thoughts framed by the author and never considered myself. The more my mother showed favoritism, the harder I worked, trying to prove myself to her. But all I got in return was still her indifference and even more excessive behavior. After graduating, I joined a song and dance troupe. Clearly, because of my excellence and having a famous teacher, I was the dancer with the highest income in the troupe. All my income was given to my mother, but it became the money for her and my sister to squander. In this life, I will never make the same mistake again. Fortunately, having fulfilled weaponizing, the attending doctor told me that my leg injury wasn't that serious. As long as I rest for 2 months, it won't affect my dancing at all. I don't know where the problem lies. In my last life, I caught Venus and my fiancé hugging intimately. In a fit of anger, I rushed out of the door and accidentally got hit by a car and broke my leg, losing the qualification to dance. But this time, the attending doctor told me that I can still dance after resting for 2 months. I was a bit excited. Really? Can I really still dance? The attending doctor adjusted his glasses and looked at the list seriously. Of course it's true. I'm also surprised. After all, you were hit by a car. I didn't expect it to be just a minor injury. In my spare time, I've read a lot of books. Could this be the so-called butterfly effect? During the 2 months I spent in the hospital, I was more comfortable than ever. Besides recuperating from my injury, relying on the memories of my last life, I used the compensation for the car accident and invested in several projects with my best friend Australia. In this world, it's better to make money work for you than to just save money. Soon, the two of us accumulated a lot of funds. Unexpectedly, as soon as I completed the discharge procedures and went out, I met Casanova. When he saw me, he immediately came up to question me. Venus has been crying for the past 2 months. Are you satisfied? I was taken aback and then reacted. It's just crying. Who can't cry? Thinking of the grievances in my last life, I pinched myself hard, and tears immediately welled up in my eyes. Casanova, don't forget that before this, your fiancé was me. Now, it's me who has helped you to be together and been abandoned by my mother. I should be the one asking you this question. So, Casanova, are you satisfied? Casanova was a master in the field of love and was good at flirting with girls. When I first met him, I thought he was only nice to me. Who knew that he was like this with all girls? Sure enough, when he saw my eyes turn red, he immediately softened his tone. I didn't mean that. I just think that Venus is young and doesn't know any better. You should give in to her. Casanova's mouth was still moving. But my attention was on Venus, who was staring at me not far away. Since she likes to peek, I might as well let her see enough. I pretended to sleep and fell into Casanova's arms. With my soft and fragrant body in his arms, we looked into each other's eyes. And since Casanova wasn't a good person either, he indeed hugged me and forgot to let go. The moment I leaned against the scumbag man, I glanced at Venus. I saw her clenching her fists, and her eyes were full of hatred as if she wanted to eat me. She didn't come towards us until she coughed softly at last. Casanova quickly let go of the hand around my waist and stammered to explain, Venus, don't misunderstand. Phoenix almost fell just now, and I just helped her up. In my last life, the reason Casanova broke up with me, after I broke my leg, was that I was too perfect and dazzling and wasn't suitable to be a wife. And Venus was lively and innocent. Being with her made him feel like he had found himself again. Later, when I thought about it, it was true that I was too perfect and dazzling. But the more important reason was that the two of them hit it off. Venus pretended to be magnanimous and smiled as she took my hand. How could I misunderstand? She's my sister. Even if you two were really together again, I wouldn't mind. If it weren't for the jealousy in her eyes that was almost overflowing, I would have really believed her. I also smiled and teased her, really? Then you have to keep an eye on Casanova. You know. He fell in love with me at first sight. There's no guarantee that he won't fall in love with me again. After saying that, I didn't forget to look at Casanova and gave him an ambiguous smile. The so-called love at first sight is just lust at first sight. It's a pity that I was so confused in my last life. I thought that once a promise was made, it should be kept. I even drove myself crazy and was finally killed by my own younger sister. But now it's different. It should be them who go crazy. Sure enough, Venus's smile froze instantly. I spoke again to resolve the awkwardness. I'm just joking. Don't worry, sister. Since I gave him to you, there's no reason for me to take him back. Alright, I still have something to do, so I won't bother you two anymore. Before they could say anything else, I hailed a taxi and went straight to my best friend's house. That night, Venus seemed so angry about what happened during the day that she couldn't fall asleep. In the early morning, she sent me a message. Phoenix, I know you're jealous that I snatched Casanova away from you. I also know that you still can't forget him. But let me tell you, you have no chance now. I plan to talk to Casanova about getting married tomorrow. If everything goes smoothly, we'll choose a good day soon to hold the wedding. I casually glanced at it, slightly curled the corners of my lips, and then sent the words, I wish you a harmonious union lasting 100 years, and an early birth of a precious son. The reason I did what I did today was just my provoking method. In my past life, the two of them were flirting right under my nose. But because I was unwilling to let go, I stubbornly refused to give up. I thought that the more they wanted to be together, the more I should prevent them from achieving their wish. And that was the way to take revenge. But now I clearly understand that that was the most stupid way of taking revenge. He was just a playboy. The reason he was with Venus was just for a momentary novelty. The more I tried to stop them, the more he thought that the harder it was to get something, the more he wanted to obtain it. Now I'm adding fuel to the fire, letting them be together as soon as possible. I want to see how long this sense of novelty can last. Moreover, Casanova comes from a wealthy family. The situation there is so complicated. How could someone from a humble background like her be able to handle it? At least getting the approval of Casanova's mother is not as simple as she thinks. The good show is yet to come. The next day, Venus came to my place. As soon as she saw me, she immediately accused me viciously. Phoenix, you shameless vixen. What method did you use to seduce Casanova away again? Obviously he loves me so much. But he refused to take me home to meet his family and discuss our marriage. I couldn't help but snort with laughter. She was clearly the shameless mistress. Yet in the end, she had the nerve to call me a vixen. Seeing that I was still laughing, Venus became even angrier. Phoenix, what are you laughing at? Are you gloating? I'm telling you, if I can't have him, neither can you. Believe it or not, if you push me too hard, I'll slash your face with a knife and see what you can use to seduce Casanova then. I was really surprised that Phoenix couldn't hold her temper so quickly. I continued. Do you think that the only reason I could get Casanova and everything from the Casanova family was just because of this face of mine? You're so smart. You should know what a man wants most when he's with a woman. Venus was silent for a moment. Obviously, having fulfilled my desire, she had already thought about what to give to Casanova. But she still stubbornly mumbled. Of course I know. I just didn't expect you to be so despicable. I won't argue with you too much today. If you still pester Casanova, don't blame me for being rude. Watching Venus's retreating back, I knew she had fallen for it. You know. Casanova was originally a playboy. He just pretended to be decent on the surface. Behind the scenes, he had been with many women but remained unscathed. After being with me in my past life, besides flirting with Venus, he was also involved in ambiguous relationships with several other women. But at that time, I was so focused on dealing with Venus that I didn't care about those other women at all. Later, when I was hit and had my leg broken, the two of them openly flirted with each other. I tried to hold on but to no avail, and finally I forced myself to give up. Who would have thought that after getting drunk, Casanova forcefully took advantage of me? After that, he knelt down and proposed, saying that he would take responsibility for me. He did take responsibility for me. Soon after, he proposed to me. And since I'm a conservative person and also wanted to resist because of what Venus did, I agreed to him. Unexpectedly, Casanova was the kind of person who didn't cherish what he had once he got it. After marriage, he quickly lost interest in me and started to let himself go completely. He went out with different women every day and caused a lot of gossip. For all of this, Venus blamed me. She even came directly to my house and slapped me, accusing me, Phoenix, if you weren't so shameless as to climb into Casanova's bed, do you think he would have married you? Do you know how painful it is for him to marry a woman he doesn't love? The reason he has become like this now is all your fault. At that time, I believed her words but refused to admit it. I was even so stupid as to declare my sovereignty to Venus. Listen carefully. Even if he doesn't love me, he is my husband now. Your brother-in-law. I may not have his heart, but I have his person. That's better than you having nothing at all. Venus was enraged by me. And I didn't back down either. The two of us soon got into a fight. During the scuffle, Venus pushed me, along with my wheelchair, down the stairs. And I died on the spot. After I died, Venus continued to cry and speak in a fake and sweet way, accusing me of being unreasonable and saying that it was an accident. With just a few simple words, she not only made everyone forgive her, but also made them think that I, the stumbling block, deserved to die. They hastily sent me to the crematorium. And Venus and Casanova got married while my body was still warm. Because of the successful investment, my best friend Australia and I made a fortune. To avoid being pestered by my mother and Venus again, I simply used the excuse that my leg injury hadn't fully healed and resigned from my job. Then I partnered with Australia to start a company. Sure enough, as I expected, not long after, my mother, having squandered all our family savings, came to me again. Even if we sever our mother-daughter relationship, I'm still your mother. Count how many months it's been since you transferred your salary to me? I was so angry that I laughed. But I still put on a pitiful look and stood up leaning on a crutch. Mom, you know I had a car accident. For a dancer, a leg injury means that even if the company still wants me, how can I have the nerve to stay there? Without a job, I have no income. Mom, you just said that you've been keeping my salary for me before. Can you take out a part of it and return it to me? I don't even have money for food. When my mother heard this, her expression immediately became awkward. I don't have any money. You know Venus doesn't have a job. And I don't have a job either. Your meager salary wasn't even enough for our family's daily expenses. You should recover quickly and go out to work. You don't have to be a dancer. These days, for a young and beautiful girl like you, it's not difficult to make a lot of money, is it? I understood exactly what she meant between the lines. I just didn't expect her to come up with such a lousy idea. I choked back my tears and questioned her. Mom, what do you mean? Do you want me to sell my body? Are you really my biological mother? Unexpectedly, a trace of panic flashed in her eyes. But she quickly pretended to be calm again. I'm just making a suggestion. Besides, nowadays, people laugh at the poor but not at prostitutes. As long as you have money, who cares how you got it? I'll put it bluntly. I don't have any money. I'm also short on cash. Since we've already severed our mother-daughter relationship, don't come to me for anything in the future. Watching my mother's retreating back, I wiped away my tears and saved the recording I just made. In my past life, I had suspected that I wasn't my mother's biological daughter. Otherwise, since both children should be equally dear to a mother, even if a mother shows some bias, how could she be so extremely biased? It wasn't until the day I was pushed down the stairs by Venus that I found out that I really wasn't my mother's biological daughter. One day, I went to a restaurant for a business meeting. When I went to the restroom, I ran into Venus. Venus was obviously surprised to see me. She looked me up and down and finally her gaze landed on me. Phoenix, why are you in such a high-end restaurant? I heard that you lost your job after being kicked out of the dance troupe. Could it be that you're really someone's mistress now? What do you think Casanova would think if he knew that you're someone's mistress? I gave Venus a speechless look. Anne looked at the watch on my wrist and was about to ignore her and go to the restroom. But she blocked my way. Why are you avoiding me? Did I really guess right? The once brilliant dancer has now become someone else's mistress. How pitiful. By the way, sister, I have something else to tell you. I'm pregnant with Casanova's child. It won't be long before you should call me Mrs. Casanova. I glanced infuriately at her belly and said nonchalantly, then congratulations, Mrs. Casanova. After that, I pushed her aside and went directly into the restroom, perhaps feeling that she had achieved her goal of showing off. When I came out again, Venus was nowhere to be seen. I thought I wouldn't have any more contact with her at least for that day. But I didn't expect that before I entered the private room, I heard Venus's voice at the door. Casanova, guess who I met in the restroom just now? Casanova's answer was a bit perfunctory. Who? My sister. I never expected that the sister I once admired would do such a thing. She's actually someone's mistress now. And the guy is a greasy middle-aged man in his 50s or 60s. I know my sister likes excitement, but I still didn't expect her to do this for money. A greasy middle-aged man in his 50s or 60s? I turned to look at Astraea. And Astraea's fists clenched immediately. Seeing that she was about to push the door open, I reached out and grabbed her. There are plenty of potential business partners. Let's just forget about this one today. Then I let go of her hand and stood quietly at the door to watch the drama. Astraea understood and pushed the door open with a bang. The two people sitting on the sofa were startled. When they saw who it was, Casanova was the first to stand up and bow obsequiously. President Astraea, you're here. Before Casanova could finish his words, Astraea picked up a coffee on the table and splashed it all over Venus's face. Venus let out a scream as she was suddenly attacked. Astraea threw the cup in her hand and looked down at Venus haughtily. I, Astraea, hate people who spread rumors the most. Who knows if after this meal today, Mrs. Casanova will spread malicious rumors about me to others at the next meal. So about the cooperation. Casanova, I think we're not a good fit. After Astraea finished speaking, she left with great arrogance. Looking at Astraea's imposing manner, I immediately gave her a thumbs up. The Casanova family failed to cooperate with our company and thus lost a large sum of money. And the company we chose to cooperate with the advantage that I, having been reborn, had foresight about the market, made a fortune together with us. I heard that Casanova's mother was so angry that she scolded Casanova. As for Venus, she surely didn't get away without being punished. Soon Venus came to me again. She cornered me at the stairwell and clutched my neck tightly. Phoenix, it's all your fault. If you hadn't suddenly shown up that day and made me say the wrong thing, I wouldn't still be unable to enter the Casanova family and be looked down upon by Casanova's mother. My gaze fell on her loose clothes. At the moment, she was plump and her face was obviously rounder. Even though the clothes were loose, I could still see her bulging belly. Counting the days, the baby in her belly should be about 5 or 6 months old. So I pretended to be surprised and asked, "The baby in your belly is probably 5 or 6 months old, right? Casanova's mother still doesn't agree to your marriage?" You know, the Casanova's mother I know is elegant and kind. Even if she doesn't care about you, she should care about the baby in your belly. I deliberately led the conversation to the fact that I got along well with Casanova's mother. And sure enough, it aroused Venus's curiosity. She released her hand and asked viciously, "You've reminded me. When you were dating Casanova before, I heard you say that Casanova's mother treated you very well. You must know how to please Casanova's mother. You never told me before. You just wanted to see me make a fool of myself on purpose. Right? Phoenix. You really are a vicious woman." I sneered coldly. "Venus. You're not a child anymore. Do you really need me to teach you how to please your mother-in-law? You can just look at me to know what kind of daughter-in-law Casanova's mother likes. As long as you're obedient and filial enough, why would you worry about not winning her over? I know very well why Casanova's mother agreed to me being with Casanova in the first place. It wasn't because of how beautiful I was, but because of my educational background and my status as a dancer. Plus, having so my say, I was obedient in everything. So Casanova's mother had both the substance and the face. And naturally she was satisfied with me as her future daughter-in-law. Looking at Venus, who has neither educational background nor ability, she naturally wouldn't catch Casanova's mother's eye. It was precisely such a Casanova's mother that led to my even more miserable married life. At that time, I was just a dancer in name since I couldn't dance anymore. When I got home, I had to please Casanova's mother. And even the servants of the Casanova family showed me a bad face. Moreover, Casanova's mother even instigated Casanova to commit domestic violence. I was beaten black and blue by him more than once after getting married. And when these things spread, it became that I was being unreasonable and brought it upon myself. After hearing my words, Venus's words were full of threats. "Fine. I'll take your advice for now. A rat like you, who only deserves to live in the gutter, should stay in the gutter. If you dare to ruin my plans again, I will definitely make your life a living hell." In my last life, what she did indeed made my life a living hell. But in this life, it's them who will suffer. I just didn't expect that I would meet Venus again so soon. A week later, Casanova's mother invited me to her home as a guest. Unexpectedly, as soon as I entered the door, I saw Venus, with a big belly, half squatting beside Casanova's mother and washing her feet. When Casanova's mother saw me coming, she glanced at Venus and impatiently lifted her foot out of the water. This sudden action caused the foot-washing water to splash all over Venus's face. Even so, Venus still couldn't escape Casanova's mother's scolding. "You're so slow at washing feet. After such a long time. The guest has arrived and you still haven't finished washing my feet." Venus lowered her eyes, looking submissive, and apologized obediently like a little daughter-in-law. "I'm sorry, Mom. It's all my fault. I'll dry your feet right away." Casanova's mother snorted. Venus quickly took the towel handed by the servant and carefully dried Casanova's mother's feet. After finishing all this and looking up, she happened to meet my eyes. I thought she would feel extremely wronged. But when she saw it was me, her eyes were full of arrogance. It seemed that what she did had indeed won Casanova's mother's approval. But such approval was really pitiful. Seeing that Venus was still there, Casanova's mother said impatiently again, "Why are you still here? Don't you know I'm going to receive guests?" Venus clenched her fists and finally obediently stepped back. As she passed by me, I saw the bruise on her wrist that she tried to cover but still showed. My eyes darkened. It seemed that what happened to me in my last life had been fulfilled on Venus in advance. In my previous life, after I married into the Casanova family, Casanova was still ambiguous with Venus. Although part of the reason for my being subjected to domestic violence was instigated by Casanova's mother, another part was Venus's meddling. I still clearly remember the pain when Casanova's fist hit me. Each punch landed on my flesh, leaving a deep impression. So much so that in the end, Even when Casanova after spoke, it would make me tremble with fear. I was afraid that I had done something wrong and would invite another beating. At that time, I didn't know that a beast who committed domestic violence would beat his wife without caring about right or wrong and without any reason at any time. It wasn't about what I did wrong. If there was really a mistake, it was that I shouldn't have married such a beast. Venus finally married Casanova as she wished. When we met again, Venus was already more than 6 months pregnant. She was clearly more than a year younger than me. But her plump body and the tiredness on her face made her look more than 10 years older. So much so that she, who wasn't good looking in the first place, looked even more ordinary. I heard that Casanova didn't even hold a wedding because he disliked Venus's plump figure and thought she couldn't be presented in public. Looking at me now, I'm shining brightly. The moment I made my entrance, everyone present stood up. Even Casanova and his mother came up to me and called me President Phoenix one after another. Especially Casanova's mother, when she saw me, didn't forget to praise me while belittling others. I don't know what my Casanova was thinking. You two had already engaged back then. But he was determined to break off the engagement with you. In the end, he married such a thing. There were many people present. Casanova's mother's disdain for Venus was undoubtedly slapping her in the face in public. Casanova also stared straight at me at this moment, as if we were meeting for the first time. I ignored the gazes of others and moved around among the business tycoons with ease. Casanova tried to come over several times, but was pushed to the corner by people more powerful than him. Finally, having fulfilled my obsession, Casanova walked up to me holding a glass of champagne and said awkwardly, "I didn't expect you to have changed so much in such a short time." I smiled and said, "I owe it all to President Casanova for letting me go and making it possible." Casanova's face changed. And soon he lowered his voice. "Phoenix, I know you still hate me, but I had no choice back then. I regretted it after breaking up with you. Who knew that Venus actually played dirty tricks and got pregnant with my child? I know I'm not worthy of you now, but I still want to ask, is there any hope for me?" I smiled slightly, then splashed the red wine in my hand on his face and walked away. I was a bit tipsy because I had drunk some wine. So I planned to find a place to rest. Unexpectedly, as soon as I sat down, Phoenix's mother came over with an unfriendly expression. When she saw me, she immediately sneered. "You really have some nerve. You told me you had no money to give me. But behind my back, you've made such a big splash. If I hadn't come here because of my son-in-law and seen you, would you have kept hiding it from me? Give me 5 million. And I won't ask you for money anymore." The way she stretched out her hand was as disgusting as ever. I just squinted at her and asked coldly, "Why should I?" When Phoenix's mother heard me ask this, she spoke as if she had heard the most ridiculous joke. "Why? You actually ask me why?" Of course, having fulfilled why I'm set. "Because I'm your mother." "Mother?" I raised my voice so that everyone around could hear. "It's a pity that although I call you mother, you're not my biological mother." Upon hearing this, Phoenix's mother blurted out, You know about it? Even if you know, although I'm not your biological mother, I've raised you with great effort over the years, supported you in your studies, and helped you become successful. Now that you have a successful career, what's wrong with me asking for some money for my support?" I retorted, 5 million. Is that really just a little?" After saying this, I turned on the recording on my phone and turned the volume to the maximum. Phoenix's mother's once sharp and mean voice immediately echoed in everyone's ears. Especially the sentence, "I'm just giving a suggestion." Besides, nowadays, people laugh at the poor but not at the prostitutes. As long as you have money, who cares how you got it, made everyone look at Phoenix's mother with incredulous eyes when it was played. Many people stood up and started discussing. I didn't expect there to be such a shameless mother in the world, instigating her daughter to sell her body. Yeah, haven't fulfilled my obsession. Even if she's not the biological mother, she shouldn't be so immoral. Seeing that the surrounding discussions were getting louder and louder, Phoenix's mother's face turned red and white in turn. Casanova's mother even slapped Venus hard in the face at this moment. "You're such an embarrassment. Aren't you ashamed enough? Take your mother and get out of here right away. The last time we met was in the office of my company. Venus stormed in angrily. And at that moment, the secretary looked extremely apologetic. I'm sorry. President Phoenix. Mrs. Casanova said she's your sister and insisted on coming in. I couldn't stop her no matter what. I put the documents in my hand aside and waved at the secretary. Okay. I see. You can go now. After the secretary left, I noticed something different about Venus. Her face looked even worse than the last time. And her originally high and swollen belly had become sunken. I guessed what had happened. But I still asked her, "What's wrong with your belly?" At the same time, I started to look for something to defend myself with. Venus's eyes were blood red as she roared, "How dare you ask what's wrong with my belly? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost the baby in my belly. Phoenix, why don't you just die? If you weren't living such a glamorous life, I wouldn't have been looked down upon by the Casanova family. It's all your fault. You should die." After saying that, Venus, like a madwoman, raised the fruit knife in her hand and pounced towards me. In an emergency, having fulfilled my obsessure, I picked up the folder to block her. And Venus's fruit knife stabbed hard into the folder. I took the opportunity to snatch the fruit knife from her hand, slapped her twice across the face, and then pinned her against the wall. Calm down. Think carefully. Am I really the one to blame for all of this? If Casanova hadn't seduced you in the first place, would you have simply believed him and even gone to any lengths to be with him? As for the baby in your belly, although I don't know what happened, is it really my fault? No, it's not my fault. Because even if it weren't me, there would be someone else. There are so many girls in the world who are better than me. Don't you understand? So the root of the problem isn't me. Just imagine. If you really killed me today and you ended up in jail, what about Casanova? Would he commit suicide for you or? I stopped speaking at this point and looked at her quietly. Venus's emotions had gradually stabilized from the initial madness and now turned to despair and breakdown. She reached out and tore at her hair, mumbling to herself with tears streaming down her face. It's him. Casanova. And Casanova's mother. Oh, and all the servants of the entire Casanova family. They're all the ones to blame. Then she stood up and stared at me intently. Do you know? After Casanova got married, he was like a completely different person. Not only did he flirt around everywhere, but he also brought different women home to spend the night. I told Casanova's mother about it, but instead, she scolded me for being useless and failing to keep an eye on her son. In the end, she even incited Casanova to hit me. My poor baby. He had already taken shape, but because of his punches and kicks, Venus couldn't go on and started sobbing. I gently patted her on the shoulder, trying my best to suppress the corners of my mouth that wanted to turn up. In my past life, when I was pregnant, Casanova brought Venus home. And she even incited him to beat me, causing me to lose the baby. So she deserved to bear this kind of pain. It's all their fault, and they're the ones who deserve to die. I want revenge. I want to avenge my baby. Watching Venus leave in a state of despair, I knew that my great revenge was about to be achieved. 3 days later, a huge and tragic incident occurred. The villa of the Casanova family caught fire. Strangely enough, the entire Casanova family, including the servants, all died in the fire. Later, according to the police investigation, it turned out that Mrs. Casanova had maliciously set the fire. As for why none of the many people managed to escape, it became a mystery. I think that Venus's intention to kill the members of the Casanova family was probably not just because of my instigation that day, but had been premeditated for a long time. But these things no longer matter. Since I'm the vicious supporting female character, I should confirm this accusation. What's important is that evil will eventually be punished. On my way home from work, I saw Phoenix's mother again. She was no longer dressed in the glamorous way she used to be. Instead, she was wearing dirty clothes and smelled awful. Whenever she saw a younger girl, she would go up and call her daughter. Those girls were startled by her sudden actions and all avoided her. Finally, having fulfilled Meyer, she ran up to me and happily grabbed my hand, shouting, "My dear daughter. My Venus." You're finally back. Where have you been for so long? Mom couldn't find you. I lowered my eyes and glanced at her dirty hand. Then pulled my hand away in disgust. Finally, having fulfilled my I stuffed the newspaper and my bag into her hand and left her with the sentence, "Look clearly. I'm not your daughter. Your daughter Venus is already dead." The moment I stepped into the car, there was a loud bang behind me, accompanied by the harsh sound of brakes. I looked at the scene of the accident through the rearview mirror and saw Phoenix's mother lying on the ground spitting out blood, tightly clutching the newspaper that I had stuffed into her hand earlier. Good and evil will eventually be rewarded, no matter who is who. All in all, in my world, I am the protagonist. The end.